Adolf Hitler. Guiding question number 1, how did Adolf Hitler get so many people to follow him? After their defeat in World War I, Germany was humiliated in the Treaty of I'm not sure how to pronounce it, it's a French word, but it was the treaty that ended World War I, and the country plunged into an economic depression. Hitler promised revenge against the nations that had humiliated Germany, and that the nation would be returned to its former glory under his rule. The German people were desperate for a leader, and so Hitler was able to easily win their support. Number 2, how many of his followers knew of his dark intentions? Few German citizens knew of the concentration camps, and only some Nazi soldiers knew what was really happening. Most were told they were prisons for dangerous criminals. However, there were rumors circulating about the true purpose of the camps. Number 3, how many Germans supported Hitler? Most Germans supported Hitler, but only because of his lies and propaganda. If the truth was known among the citizens, it is unlikely Hitler would have stayed in power. Number 4, what tactics did Hitler use to persuade people to follow him? Hitler was an outstanding public speaker and could easily convince people to follow him by promising liberation and telling lies. He also outlawed foreign radio stations to keep the German citizens from the truth. Number 5, why did Hitler do what he did and murder so many people? Hitler had a vision of a superior race that was pure German. He thought the only way to keep the German race clean was to exterminate the Jews and other races he thought were inferior. How Hitler changed the world. In a way, Hitler helped end the Great Depression by starting World War II. World War II ended the Great Depression because Americans started making tanks, ammo, weapons, and other military equipment. This saved the economy because old car factories that were no longer in business could be converted to tank factories, sell the tanks to the military, and then spend the money where they wanted. He invented the highway. Hitler invented the highway so he could move troops from one point to another very fast. Other countries adopted the idea after World War II. The Nazis were the first to use rockets as weapons. The German V-1 and V-2 rockets were the first rockets to be used to carry a bomb to a target and detonate. He was responsible for over 50 million deaths of innocent people and soldiers. About 11 million people died in the Holocaust, along with all of the World War II casualties, makes 50 million casualties overall. And this is just some examples of German propaganda. The main thing that allowed Hitler to gain the support of Germany was his use of propaganda. He became more popular by pretending to try and solve the conflicts he created before declaring war. A victim of Hitler in the Holocaust said this of the concentration camp he was in: "We were treated very badly. We had no beds, so we slept on the floor without any blankets or covers. Each person received 1 slice of bread a day with a bowl of watery soup with a few bits of cabbage leaves thrown in. There was nothing to do all day. We put pebbles in our mouths and pretended that they were sweets. We had no energy to do anything. We could not wash ourselves, and the toilets were disgustingly filthy. In the death camps like Auschwitz, where my mother, father, baby brother, grandfather, grandmother, cousins, and aunts were gassed to death and their bodies were burnt, arrived in cattle trucks and were led straight to the gas chambers as soon as they arrived." That's the sources, and all of the death and destruction of the Holocaust and World War II was caused by one man, making Adolf Hitler one of the most influential men to ever live. That's all. Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry, forgot about the questions. Any questions?
What prompted you to choose Hitler for your subject?
I've always been interested in World War II, and I was actually researching something I could do for the project when I just saw an ad on the side, something about Hitler, like a Hitler video. And so I clicked on it, and then it dawned on me to do Hitler. So just kind of went from there and started doing Hitler.
You go into any more depth about Hitler and the highway system?
No, so that's about as much as I know about him and the highways.
And you know how that impacted the United States?
They built the highways, I guess?
The interstate highways.
Interstate highways.
Actually, it was the general that was in charge of the American armies in Europe came back and became president of the United States, Dwight Eisenhower, and he created the American interstate system not so that we could go on vacation, but so that the American troops and materials could be moved from one end of the country to the other without having to stop.
Really? I didn't know that.
The Hitler highways were called, and still are called, autobahns.
I saw that somewhere. I didn't bother to write it down, though.
They're famous for not having any speed limits.
Oh, really? Any other ones?
Curious in your own opinion, you said that Hitler was responsible for all this and deaths on his own. do you not think that he enlisted the help of others
Well,
that were just as demented as he was?
I think that without him, they wouldn't have rallied together and actually done any. I mean, they may have, like, done some bad things on their own, but I don't think they would have rallied together without Hitler to actually get them to come together.
So he was the central point in the thought process.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I think, at least.